Okay, this one's like, why is it that the God of the Bible, he didn't like specific things like sorcery, which is like the use of actually, some sorcery is the use of like psychedelic drugs. Why didn't God like tarot cards? So, seeing into the future. Why doesn't God like knowledge of the chakras, but like before? Why didn't he like that? Doesn't like that. Well, I'll tell you why. Well, first of all, there are some things like that are considered occult, which is meaning hidden knowledge, not known, and it's basically kept hidden for a reason. First of all, some things are just not meant to be known, but now that they are known, and now that we know that this cult, Illuminati pyramid scheme of witches, warlocks, and evil wizards are using energy manipulation and knowledge of that human body and knowledge of mind control to suppress us, the people. Now God says, you know what? The knowledge is fair game. The knowledge is now going to be allowed to be revealed. So now everything's allowed. God is saying, everyone, every Christian follower of Christ, everyone who believes in God is allowed to learn magic and is allowed to learn spellcraft and about knowledge about curses and how to protect yourself from curses and evil eye and witchcraft and energy protection and stuff like that, and about rituals about that they do during the times of the full moon and like during the times of high energetic dumps and during the time of eclipses, stuff like that. They have knowledge about energy building up, and how the lining of the stars and the planets, they can cause like times for high manifesting power times. So essentially, God is saying we are now allowed to know that because the world is being, like, the good people of the world are being kept down, and He's gonna reveal it through certain people like me and other people online. Essentially, why did God not originally, like, example, tarot card? So example, if in the original times, tarot cards, like example, you're meant to rely on God. You're meant to rely on Him and His plan. And I noticed that I didn't believe it at first, but actually tarot card reading is actually 100% real. It's like I've been watching these people and they're essentially tarot card reading my whole life on YouTube. And actually a lot of people all over the world are tarot carding my amazing energy and my story, and essentially the life of a chosen one who's been attacked by the whole world and kept down but kept going and didn't become bitter and still love everyone, but he learned to combine his light and shadow and learn to despise evil. Well, anyway, basically this tarot card reading is real. Essentially they're using spirits, and essentially it's hard for me to understand if they're using the Holy Spirit or some kind of lesser spirit. In some cases, I really feel like the advice they're getting is from some kind of angel, or it could even be from God Himself. Because I heard one Jewish rabbi was a teacher of, I forgot what he said, but he said, no, the Jewish rabbi, he said that God is good to the good and good to the wicked, unfortunately. And essentially, the spirit could be talking through them, but essentially I think it's more, I'm leaning towards more it's like a spirit, because God, He's very firm. When things are not allowed, He doesn't go back on His word, right? So it could be they're using other spirits, lesser spirits, demons, lesser spirits, angels, evil angels, and essentially sometimes I found the user, whoever was tarot card reading, if they were spiritually against me, they would misfeed me. They would feed me misinformation. They would feed me lies. So essentially, it's like they would tell me to say, oh, this connection that's coming up to you, it's going to be good, when it really is like an Illuminati recruiter, or basically, or someone trying to teach you into the occult, groom you into the occult, when essentially I'm grounded in the faith of God and Jesus Christ and truth and good and love and light, right? That's the thing about the New Age. They don't want to admit God is separate from man, and that they don't ever give credit to God. They just want to say, oh, it's me. I'm source and I'm God. So I'm everything and I deserve all the credit. Sorry, guys. That's where me and you guys separate. Anyway, so then, essentially, yeah, tarot card is real, but essentially, it's difficult. It's why God doesn't allow. He didn't allow it is because that's why you could be misled. The spirits can mislead you. The person can mislead you who's spiritually against you. Essentially, also, if you're waiting for some blessing or something, you're waiting for something, and they say, "Oh, it's coming next month," and you're waiting, and then it doesn't come. It's like a shattering your faith. So you're supposed to rely just on God, and just trust in His timing, because everything happens for a reason, and everything happens on the right time. It's just trust in the universe's timing, in God's universe, because God made this universe, single verse. Spoken sentence. We're living in God's single spoken sentence that's self-reacting to you, your body, and your what you output, because your input is your output. So what you receive is going to be good, is going to be bad, is you're going to put out good or bad. And how you know someone's good is the fruits they put out are good or the fruits are evil. In this evil one world system, they're all doing evil, so their masters are wicked. Anyway, so then. I mean, well, if a master is evil, their servants be wicked. And I noticed that these occult people, they don't like to accept me believing my beliefs. They want to always change me instead of accepting me. I only influence others by my own actions. I don't try to force anything upon anyone. I might share it one time, my belief, but I won't push it onto people. But it's good to be open and listen to others, right? But there's how many ultimate truths are there? There's only one. So anyway, and also let's talk about now. I think the tarot card is quite useful in some aspects, because you can learn about your enemies, what they know, or what they're thinking about you, or stuff like that. But again, you have to take everything with a grain of salt, and and also I think example, why didn't God allow sorcery, which is like psychedelic use, spiritual cactuses, magic mushrooms, because you're essentially going to the spiritual realm, and essentially always when you go there, these entities will teach you that one world philosophy, that we are all one, we are all God. Oh, I had the experience of infinity. This is the one I always hear when I used to sell magic. But basically, this is why God didn't allow it. And also, another thing, but you can learn a lot about reality and a lot about yourself, but you have to have like a shaman or like a spiritual guide or someone who knows to teach you how to discern that not everything you learn there is truth. There could be entities that are lying to you straight up. It's not always like, hey, good, they're teaching you the truth. And also about the chakras, like, why doesn't I see some Christians online, they're saying, oh, knowledge of the chakras are bad. No, chakras are good. Your chakra gates are good to be opened. You need to open them all. You need to open your third eye. Once you open your third eye, it's scary, but you're going to start realizing you're going to see good and evil for what it is. And people get scared and they want to close that because they want to go back to sleep, because they don't want to know that their family hates them and that they want to destroy them, really. But the people around you that love you want to keep you down. But anyway, essentially God didn't want knowledge of and essentially the knowledge of the chakras, the knowledge of all that stuff was ancient. It's like ancient Jewish mysticism. And if you notice that the people of the world are a certain specific race of people, it's because they are a very powerful, blessed race, but also they have knowledge of energy and energy manipulation. And they essentially teach that to their followers. And there's a group of them that are evil, and they're the ones perpetuating the whole evil system. And essentially, it's like it's by design, because we have to go through it, but essentially you have to choose good or evil. Essentially they're teaching knowledge of energy manipulation, and essentially it was actually ancient Egyptian mysticism, because the fallen angels taught this knowledge. It wasn't like they say, oh, this is like a school of thought, or just like a bunch of philosophers, or Thoth was just like a metaphor, you know what I mean? No, he's a physical being, an entity. I've seen his dialogues, and I can feel in my spirit, like I'm special. You have to always go by, you hear all angles and discern. First you hear all the information, all the arguments, all the sides, and then you make your mind up. and then I do that too, and I have a very powerful spirit that detects like truth. So I could feel already in my spirit like this person's bullshit, this person's like right. And this is from years of training like that God put me through to discern the most minute details of people's facial expressions or the way they talk, the energy they put out, things they produce, who they're connected to, right? Because I'm a spiritual investigator. But basically, essentially the knowledge of the chakras essentially allowed a pyramid scheme to come into fruition, because these fallen angels taught forbidden knowledge. They actually set up the tillage. They set up the whole pyramid system, the case system. They taught man the case system. They taught man tillage. So they taught man the use of coin. You ever wonder where tillage come from? Most people never even heard that word, tillage. That's the use of coin. And that came from the fallen angels. That is used to control, it's energy, money is energy, so it's used to control this whole system. They taught the whole pyramid scheme system. This is where it came from, ancient Egypt. I'm telling you guys, listen to what I'm talking about. And basically, these fallen angels taught knowledge of root cutting, so drug use, so sorcery, going to the spiritual realm with psychedelics. They taught metallurgy, so they taught men to crush stones and make jewelry with metal for women to build their ego and their pride and have more of a control over man, right? And then they taught man also over men. And they must have taught them about, I suspect, about music, knowledge how music and entertainment can control the minds of people. They taught them about the knowledge, more knowledge about the wandering planets that are not following God's specific ordained path set in the sky. They are wandering about doing whatever they want, so they will be reserved for judgment. But essentially they're evil entities that are angels that are using their energy to affect mankind here. And yeah, and also they taught man, what else did they teach man? Weaponry, knowledge of how to make probably weapons. I'm assuming the sword, the shield, the bow, stuff that man could never have comprehended. Also probably what else they teach man? Root cuttings, sex magic probably. Yeah, mysticism. And that we are all one, we are all God. And yeah, the pyramid scheme system. And then they taught, the knowledge of the chakras. And I'm assuming a lot of advancement came from this, but then God had to flood the world because it became corrupt. Because the fallen angels were doing a lot of things evil. But basically, if you have knowledge of the chakras, you know how to shut other people's chakras down. That's the why God didn't like it in the beginning. But now God says, hey, it's fair game. Now God says it's open to the people that we're all allowed to know what you evil people know. Peace.